is, isn't it? There you go. You go by Nick or Nicholas?
Nick's fine.
Okay, cool. You helping somebody out on the way over?
Yeah.
That's nice of you.
Seen some guy running down the road with his pants coming down carrying a gas can. I was like, this guy could probably use a ride. And,
It sounds like it.
took him to the gas station.
You have a valid driver's license and you own a car? All right, sweet. So transportation not a huge issue for you. Okay, so. Well, first things first, just let you know that everything we say in here today is kept confidential. I can't release your information unless you're at risk of harming yourself or somebody else. And usually that's just to coordinate with the hospital in case we need to send them a list over or something like that. Other instances where I can break confidentiality if there's any suspected child abuse or elder abuse. Okay? Otherwise, we don't share anything you don't want us to. Everything stays in-house, all right? Cool. And I had gotten a call from a Sarah with probation and parole. I haven't returned it yet because we don't have a release for her. But are you referred by the court system? Is that right?
Not referred, ordered.
Okay. I like the wording on that. Ordered is correct. Are you in with mental health court or just regular court?
Whatever. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we can get you into mental health court, if you're not in already, they're more treatment focused rather than punitive.
Whatever. I don't have any say on anything.
Okay. Well, actually you do. Everything here is voluntary, so you have a say in everything here.
So I can leave here and I'm okay?
Yeah.
I don't have to be here?
You don't have to be here unless, the court wants you to come here. They're going to be the ones that are going to enforce consequences. But we aren't going to do anything.
What the court said on their stipulation was I was to receive a mental evaluation, which I did, and then this lady of yours told me that and then the court said I have to do the evaluation and whatever's recommended, and then she recommended I had anxiety issues and I got to keep coming here.
Okay. All right, but it's still your decision to do whatever. That's what I'm kind of saying. You can choose.
If they've reported if your people told my probation officer has recommended I keep coming here, and then I leave, my other option is prison.
Okay. So, all right. Well, that makes it pretty easy. And I got a report saying that you got an evaluation done at Pathways?
I don't know what you'd call it down there. They said it was intake and then I had to come back for the evaluation. They said it was like a 3-part process and I never did finish because it just was, they just were like being real belligerent with me from the day one.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and can we sign some releases so I can talk to probation and parole and maybe we can get your records sent over so you don't have to sit through more of these meetings?
Whatever I gotta do.
Okay. We'll get a couple here. We'll do one for Pathways and then one for, do you know Sarah's last name by any chance?
I know it's pronounced Galen. I'm not sure how you spell it.
Well, we can kind of ballpark it here. Alright, let's get you pulled up.
But basically I'll tell you, they'll give you the rundown is what I know is I don't know what court and all the stuff. I don't know all the stuff. I didn't even know that they call it, what do they call it thing? It's like a court before you go to court, grand jury. I didn't know what that was.
Like a preliminary hearing to see if you need to go to a trial maybe?
Yeah. And I found out after the fact, after my lawyer supposedly defending me waived what is apparently an important constitutional right you have.
Okay.
And part of the due process of law, because all there are in the business of is getting everybody to plead guilty to keep the prosecutors happy, so the real hardcore criminals and their drug dealers can pay them a bunch of money and be of value to them to get them good plea deals. So they don't really fight for any people, especially innocent people. They just throw them in the train, throw them in front of the train. And
those who have money do a little bit better in the court system in general too.
I don't know about that, man. It is what it is. Over 95% of all state cases end in plea bargain. It isn't just by coincidence.
Right.
And it's not everybody has a team of lawyers like OJ or something like that.
I can appreciate that.
So, I mean, I don't know what you say about money. It's whatever, but
regardless,
I mean, I'm sure it's all money related. But my point is the event that took place was basically I was giving a mentally challenged guy a ride home from his part-time job.
Okay.
And he truly is mentally whatever, but he isn't. He just basically just the way society is and how old he is and what shit they put him through. He just got to where he just is kind of a hermity type. He ain't really like totally nuts or nothing, but he's a hermity type, and he's legally.
I prefer the term bonkers, but yeah, and that'll work.
But he's legally mentally challenged and couldn't be a witness for me. So he was the person I was giving a ride home to, and then basically there's a bicyclist on Blue Ridge up here, and he's weaving around all crazy in the middle of the road and not paying attention. I didn't get to ride up on his ass and honk on him. I was like a few car lengths, and I noticed him from way down the road, and I got up out to where I think he could just hear me with the horn, and I just gave him a honk, let him know, hey, 5,000-pound car getting ready to come around you.
Yeah.
You might want to pay attention to your situation.
Yeah.
So he wound up like just like going nuts or whatever, like, and kicking my car or something like that, and saying F you. And at first I was like, you know, did he fall into my car? Did he like, he's weaving around all crazy, or did he kick my car? And I had a feeling because he's like, oh, fuck you or whatever. He was okay, and he didn't like just hit the car and fall and hurt himself.
Right, yeah. Or else he'd be in pain screaming or something.
But I backed up a little bit, and I'm like, you all right, man, everything cool? And he just started like just cussing me out, and then I'm like, talking about how he's working on his bicycle chain, and I'm like, well, you might want to do that on the side of the street instead of in the middle of it.
Right.
And
it's logical.
And so he basically like, he's like, oh, I got a right to be on the street and all this shit. And you know how some of these bicyclist people can be, you know, about their right to
right away.
Their right of way, even when it's just utter stupidity.
Okay.
So he started cussing out, and I said, I mean, I ain't got a problem with bicycles. I ride myself, you know. I'm like, it's all cool, man. He's like, fuck you, da da, and just going nuts. And he starts kicking my car, and then he reaches in and he starts strangling my passenger. So I was helping the owner of that restaurant where this guy works at, you know, working on sealants. And my Dremel grinder was messing up something I was working on, and I needed a smooth, good, heavy knife. So I went home and I grabbed my grandpa's old buck knife he gave me. Okay. And had that with me in the vehicle. So all my tools were there, so I just grabbed up my knife. I would have grabbed up a screwdriver or anything, you know, and got a right to defend myself. And so I went ahead and pulled up the knife, and I told him, hey, get your arms out of my effing car before I cut him off. So he basically wound up, you know, got his arms out of the car because he didn't want him cut off, and then he just started kicking the car and stuff, and then I tried to I was like thinking there, you know, hop a curb. I'm a country boy getting this gas station because I couldn't back up. Cars were coming up on me, and I couldn't back up to get in this gas station entrance. That shell up there is where all this went down, and like
what? I'm not sure where the shell is.
Up by the highway.
Okay, 71.
71. You know what I'm talking about? That gas station up there.
Over by Truman Corners or something. Ah, I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it's like what happened was I basically like tried to back up a little. You know, I drove in the grass and hopped the first curb, and I was just then I seen another curb and I was gonna hop it too, but I was in a minivan, and then I realized, oh shit, this is like, you know, well, first I pulled in, he had his bicycle, he threw over to the side of the road there, and when he went nuts on me, he done threw it over there. So I seen his bike, and I seen him, and he gave me this, oh, my bicycle look or something. So I was like, fine, get your stupid bicycle, you wacko. And so I let him get his bicycle. I figured it'd tear up the underside of my van anyway. I wasn't really worried about his bike. You know, I was just trying to get away, but I'm like, don't need to like fuck up my gas tank or something and wreck my shit right here. So I let him get his stupid bike. He tosses it off to the side, proceeds to like kick the front of my van. So I'm sitting there dead stopped, not trying to run anybody over. You know what I mean? And he's like kicking the front of my van. I'm like, fine, he ain't hurt me. It's just kicking my bumper or whatever. Then he gets to the side and he like starts pounding on my glass, trying to get to me or whatever. And at that point, I'm trying to like back up and get turned because this other curb that was in my way had some erosion going on. It was kind of a tall curb in the first place, and it had some erosion, so it was like a foot tall almost curb.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go by Shell, you can take a look yourself. It's like the inside curb, you know, the parking lot, just on the other side of the sidewalk there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I couldn't, and still that way today, and so I couldn't hop it in a minivan. So I was backing up trying to get around it into the entrance without getting back out in the street and getting hit or whatever.
Right.
And this guy was like kicking the crap out of my van. I'm trying to maneuver without running him over. And then,
or the bike to
and then,
your car.
Yeah, and then, well, that was pretty much out of the way pretty good, but at that point. But then basically what happened was I seen, oh shit, this curb kind of ends short here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I seen him, and he was like kicking the van, and he backs up like 5 feet for some reason. So I'm like, all right, cool. And I dodged over to the left to try to get around the curb because I thought easier, you know, I can make it versus trying to keep backing up and forth and try to get back to the entrance on the other side. So I went around the curb, and apparently this guy like jumped back towards front of my van or something, and they're trying to call it. I attempted to do seriously bodily injury to him with second degree assault by trying to run him over with my car.
Okay.
And I went to the gas station, and I should bring you a video of this because it's kind of entertaining to some people. They're like, you really got charged with a crime over this? Because they just can't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But because they're like, Nick, I would have like just stuck that guy. They're like, everybody tells me I just ran the motherfucker over and he was kicking in front of my car. Fuck him.
Mm-hmm.
And they just can't believe I went to jail over this.
Until
I tell them the end of the story, which is basically skip to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out he's an ex-cop and a current security guard at a public facility where it's the public facility of some sort of school for mentally challenged kids.
Okay.
So he gets away with anything he wants to.
Okay.
He's the one that arrests people, doesn't get arrested. He's one of the special people. So anyway, I went around the curb and I go up to the gas station, and he's so deathly afraid of me because I was trying to cause him seriously bodily injury, and my intent was to harm him, and I put him in fear of his life.
Mm-hmm.
He was so in fear that he barreled across the parking lot after me, trying to attack me again because he was so in fear.
Right.
So I, of course, being
I'm sensing sarcasm.
Yeah. So I, of course, being the assaulter, the person that was just really after him and had to get this guy in a bad way.
Yeah.
You know, seriously, I'm just crazy person.
Remember
Bonkers is that I seen him coming at me from the driver mirror. So what I did as a total bonkers person that had to get him was I avoided him by jumping out the passenger backsliding door of my minivan.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I'm just so crazy like that, I had to get him.
Right.
So anyway, and this is all on camera.
What camera?
They have like a video surveillance on the gas station,
and
that's what it is. They seen the whole thing. No, the judge didn't see it. My lawyer didn't see it till the day before the trial, and I'll get into that in a second. But basically, what it is I went ahead and I went to go to get in the gas station. Well, I noticed him coming around the van. He figured out my little sneak thing I did there to get away from him.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, him being in fear of his life, and him knowing I had a 6-inch knife that I was going to try to assault him with, he then chased around at me again. And I basically was in a situation where we were kind of squared off, and I was making sure my passenger, who's, kind of stressed out, considerably for reasons, obviously. So he went into the gas station, and then I went ahead and tried to get in the gas station. This guy's trying to square off with me. I'm like, dude, this ain't a movie. I know how to use this. You can't get hurt here. Back the fuck off. And he did. And I seen him kind of relax his shoulders, and he kind of stepped back a second. I go into the gas station, put it down to my side right away, ask if I can use the phone to call the police. They're like, dude, they're, what? And, seeing I had a knife, they're like, oh my God. And then he's like, no, man, no, you need to go out and use the payphone. I'm like, what? Come on, man. And he was on the phone, and I'm like, come on, this is a serious situation. He's like, nah, man, go use the payphone, customers can't use the phone. I'm like, I'm not a customer, I'm a person that needs to call the fucking police right now.
Or else you call.
It's like, I'm not trying to buy some cigarettes or something,
Right.
I'm like, I'm situations going on here. So, and I'm like, and that's what I told him too. I'm like, you call the police, whatever, just call the fucking police. This guy's going crazy out here. And he's like, nah, man, use payphone. I'm like, whatever, fine, I'll go out and deal with that. And I'm like, fuck it, if he tries to attack me, I'll stick him, whatever, So I'm like, fine, I go, and then he's like blocking the door like he's playing hero now, trapping the insane person that I am. So I'm like, whatever, fuck it. And I went back to the clerk, and I'm like, dude, come on, let me use the fucking phone. And he finally handed it over to me, and I took it. So anyway, I called the police, and they showed up and arrested me, pulled guns out on me and everything. I followed orders, come back there, whatever. And before I could even get a chance, it's like, first they're like, put your hands behind your head, and they're like, get down on the ground. And I'm sitting there like, well, I can't get down on the ground with hands behind my head, it'll smash my face up. So they went ahead and kicked me in the back, and I caught myself with my hands, and I'm glad I didn't get shot because my hands were on the back of my head.
Glad you didn't get shot too.
So anyway, I wound up like going to jail, sat in the back of the squad car. There, you see on camera, there's probably a good 10 or 15 people at the gas station. You know, it was really cool too because the funniest part of the whole thing, because there was a funny part, was
I haven't heard a funny part
I know.
yet, but
I'm getting to
right.
I'm getting to like the Jim Carrey moment here,
Okay.
or whatever you want to call it. I'm sitting there with the knife, right? Calling on, with the police, whatever. These two black guys that are customers are just like trying to get their cigars, cigarettes, or whatever, and they're checking out stuff. Then one notices the guy with the knife over here. He's like, whoa, and he's like tapping the other guy. Hey man, guy with the knife right here. And then they're both like backing up and shit. And I'm like, and then they hear me on the phone talking and everything, and they're like, oh, this, and then they look out the window and they're like, oh shit, and they're like, oh, this guy's cool, whatever.
Right.
And they're like, are you all right, man? I'm like, yeah, just dealing with some fucking crazy maniac out there and shit.
Okay.
And but yeah, the police show up, and I put my knife down and go out there and get kicked in the back and get arrested. And like I said, there's 10, 15 people you see on camera witnessing this whole situation. But what happens is you know how like if you get in a car wreck, it may be an accident, you're not guilty of anything necessarily criminally.
Right.
It can be just
an
accident.
Misdemeanor or felony or nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's nothing, it's not an accident. But then just an accident, and accidents happen. Like whatever, the roads were wet, and maybe they'll give you a ticket for falling too close or something. But it was just a minor thing, not serious. But but if you leave, especially if somebody's injured, that becomes serious. Even if you leave, just the possibility that you left and somebody could have been injured.
Right.
We take that as a society seriously, that you have an obligation to that person to not leave. Right.
Right.
For multiple reasons, but especially if they've been hurt.
Right.
And that's the way I always understood the law, was like, if like I seen you get jumped by some people, and I came out there to defend you and help you out or whatever, and then the cops show up, you know what I mean? I have kind of an obligation to you to be like, yeah, he was getting attacked. These guys weren't defending themselves. He was, getting mugged or whatever. You're sitting there at a, ATM or something getting beat up. I have an obligation to basically, tell the police or tell the courts, what I saw. To help defend somebody else or help get somebody else, the right bad person, in jail, whatever. Okay. Right? Okay. And that's why they came up with subpoenas. So if I don't want to do that, then I can be forced to come in and whatever they do to people that don't cooperate, you know what I mean? Because if they're not, it's like if they're not charging you, you can't claim the Fifth Amendment as a witness, basically, and they can actually punish you for whatever. So, but the thing is when you're sitting in the back of a squad car, you can't gather your own witnesses. So imagine you basically get attacked by a group of people at an ATM. I come defend you, then we both go to jail, and there might be 20 other people that seen it. But they just, they ask the questions of the people who attacked us, right? And of course, what are they going to say? And then there you go. And then you're looking at, you're going to court on serious felonies, and then you have a witness list with the attackers on it, and then the police that showed up after the fact claiming to be witnesses to your criminality. That's what I was dealing with. Was this guy, this one guy on the witness list that attacked us, and then the cops that showed up after the fact on the witness list, and them manipulating the story into, because he jumped towards the front of my van when I made a left turn, and they try to say, oh, well, that means I intended to harm him. Assault too. And they gave me a weapons violation charge just to, whatever sprinkles on the donut,
Yeah.
Whatever icing on the cake, so. And it was like 5 to 15 and 1 to 4, which unconstitutional mandatory minimums, you know about that, right?
Oh, yeah, but yeah. Like drug minimums.
Well, not just knowing about minimums, but you've read the Constitution, right?
Yeah. Not the entire thing, but I know the.
Well, you know how they have things like the separation of powers, right?
Yeah.
You have your judicial, executive, legislative. Legislative is not supposed to do the judicial's job. They can create laws, they're constitutional.
Okay.
And if they're not, they're basically supposed to be null and void automatically. They don't have to wait to go to a fucking Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To get null and voided. And so what it is then the judge has to basically determine, based on the individual circumstances, what a punishment should be. And this is where people kind of get all communist about it and say, no, we just need to vote in people that'll, violate that whole situation because, we're seeing this person for this crime get 10 years and this person for this same crime getting, probation or a year.
Mm-hmm.
It just isn't equal justice. But the thing is not all circumstances are equal. And that's why we're supposed to have, like, elected and people that represent us as judges sort of look at that separately.
And look at you more as an individual than rather everybody else.
Yeah, it's like everybody has to obey these laws.
I gotcha.
But then how you break them gets determined by a judge what the proper punishment should be.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do is, and this has been going on obviously for years, you're aware of the mandatory minimums on all these things, whether it's drugs or what they call violent crimes, intending to do stuff. Like, I had a buddy of mine, he got into a fight one time, and they charged him with misdemeanor battery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, the guy attacked him. Well, he just was like, no, I'm not having that, and he beat the living crap out of the guy, basically, and he put him in the hospital.
Right.
And they're like, well, you didn't have to do that to defend yourself. And I'm like, fuck that, like, I'm going to put him down. He jumped me from behind, and, like, what am I going to do, turn my back and just, like, sock him once and run, like he could have had a gun?
Right.
So he beat him into the ground, basically, put him in the hospital, and got charged with, like, simple assault misdemeanor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then all they have to do is get somebody to say, oh, I was seriously trying to harm you with, like, a vehicle or a knife or a gun.
And that's a
felony. And you don't even put a scratch on anybody.
So did you get convicted of felony?
Oh, yeah. Well, no.
Okay.
Nobody gets convicted. They plea bargain out.
Okay.
95% of all cases. Conviction means you go to court, a jury finds you guilty or a judge, and there you go. That's a conviction.
Well, when you do the plea bargain, though, you're being convicted of a lesser crime.
No.
Okay.
You're pleading guilty to a lesser crime.
So you weren't convicted of anything?
Nobody gets convicted anymore, hardly.
All right.
I know it's hard to understand that, but I mean, look up the definition of conviction. It means you get found guilty by a court system.
What did they say that you got convicted of? Not in your
No, I mean, what I pled guilty to was assault 2. I already told you what they charged me with,
mm-hmm.
what they alleged
right.
was the assault 2 and weapons violation.
Okay, so you pled guilty to the assault 2. Which is,
I pled guilty to assault 2.
Is that a misdemeanor or is that a felony?
It's a felony.
Okay.
So, but I'm saying, like, there's a big difference. And actually, I didn't even plead guilty. You know what I pled? Alford plea.
Okay.
Yeah, I can tell you never heard of that one.
No.
You ought to look that one
up. I'm not a lawyer either. I'm also not a judge.
I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not
here
to determine what's right
or wrong.
I'm
just explaining to you the situation because, like, you're all about, like, well, what system did this and what system did that and all this, who did what, and I just want to give you the rundown why the fuck I'm here.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm here for, and it's insane. It's like me picking up this guy to give him a ride to the gas station. Like, what if he turned out to be some wacko and I had to defend myself against him? Like, am I a criminal? Like, am I supposed to, like, live like a shut-in and not help anybody in life and be afraid of what could happen? Because I essentially they've essentially null and voided our constitutional rights to a fair trial, our constitutional rights to defend ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
As a person that has a conviction, as you call it, but as somebody who's pled guilty, or I pled Alford plea
mm-hmm.
to a felony charge, because if I withdraw that plea, they can take the same evidence against me. Even after I've been punished, 10 years later I come back and say I want to withdraw the plea, they can use that same evidence against me and try to convict me because they never convicted me in the first place.
Okay. I got what you're saying then.
So they can actually charge you again if you decide to withdraw your plea.
Well, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, so after I've been to prison, I'm maybe on 5 years probation. If I make it through that without doing 5 years of prison,
mm-hmm.
then I could come back later and withdraw my plea, and then they could attack me again, try to come after me again with the same lies.
Okay.
So what it is it's truly a plea bargain. It's not a conviction in any sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way people have been brainwashed into thinking about things and whatnot. But you know how, like, if a person has a felony on their record, they're not allowed to own a gun, right?
Right.
You're very aware of that. Now,
yeah.
How are you aware of that?
I just know that. I don't know where I learned it from, but I just know that. I deal with
Can you think of where it has been taught to you in any fashion, form, or any way?
Not really.
Do you have any friends that have any felonies?
No.
So you don't associate felons. Have you got friends that are police and told you about this?
No.
So where would you have possibly learned it?
I'm a hunter.
You what?
So I'm a hunter. I think I'm
They
hunter
teach that
safety.
they-
Maybe you told me that.
No, they don't teach that in hunter safety. I took hunter safety.
Okay.
And it's all the same. It's the state.
Well, here's
What
where
it is
we
is
are.
propaganda on TV,
Okay.
just like Hitler.
I'm gonna have to stop you.
Felons
here,
burn
okay?
5 years in prison.
Okay.
Now you want to know who else had the similar law like that? Hitler, the Nazi Party.
Okay.
If you were deemed as untrustworthy, you got 5 years in prison. If you were in fact
I think we've gotten
untrustworthy and
enough
found
of why you're here.
I get it.
Okay. We need to see if you do have a diagnosis, and then.
Oh, I got a diagnosis. I'm guaranteed to get a diagnosis.
Not necessarily.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, what would your diagnosis be?
Oh, that's for you guys to dream up.
Have you ever been admitted to a psychiatric hospital before?
Not yet.
Okay. Have you ever been outpatient anywhere for
Matter of
mental health
time.
treatment?
No. Matter of time, though.
What's that?
Matter of time.
Not necessarily. I don't know a lot of people that don't have a diagnosis that get admitted to the psychiatric hospital.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Is it's a matter of time until you get diagnosed. Just like I got prosecuted for a crime that I didn't commit.
Well, if
And
I don't
pretty much
see that you have a
everybody-
diagnosis, I'm not going to recommend that you're mentally ill.
Well, did you know that you know how your educational system works on the psychological stuff, don't you?
Here's what we're here to do. We're going to identify if you have any symptoms.
Well,
We're going to get a
do you
diagnosis
think-
down,
do
and
you-
I'm just going to gather information.
Well, what do you?
If you don't want to do
Okay.
that, then I'm going to report that to your
Okay.
parole probation officer.
Of course you are.
And then they're going to do whatever they're going to do. Okay?
I know.
But I'm
saying.
not
So, like,
associated with them past the point.
What
of,
do you think about people that are gay? Are they mentally insane?
I'm
or
not here to give
something?
my opinion. I'm here
I'm
to
just
gather
I'm just asking
information.
you. Like, is that?
I understand that, but we're getting off track.
But I'm
and
just
we're
saying
not going
that
to be able to get what we need to get done today.
I'm just saying the people that ran the whole psychological organization, you know, all these big nonprofits that accredit schools and do all this stuff.
Mhm.
The schools pay a bunch of money and then they make laws saying, oh, well, now you need a license for everything, so you got to go to these schools and have a certain amount of school hours. It's all just a big money scam. And then they give you a license, say you're deemed smart enough and you've gotten the education. You know, they used to say, that gay people were mentally challenged, black people weren't humans,
Okay.
you know, all this stuff.
How about we're not apparently.
I mean, I'm just saying, how am I supposed to believe in that? How am I supposed to believe in your diagnosis of me means anything to me?
You don't have to.
But I gotta live with it. It's forced upon me.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Exactly.
Because I mean, we judge disorder in separate domains, like legal, like financial, like social, like interpersonal stuff. So if you're having problems in those areas due to some kind of chemical imbalance in your brain, then we have a disorder. Other than that, that's all I have to say on the fact.
Well, that's the thing is you know, I think that if you didn't know I was like, let's say if I was actually Jesus Christ himself,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't tell you that, I'd come in here, I bet I would get labeled something. I almost guarantee you I'd get labeled something. If
you meet
if I
criteria
was George
as
Washington,
given in our diagnosis
Exactly.
book, then you would be diagnosed.
and today's modern system would basically put people like Jesus Christ in a mental facility. They would put Thomas Jefferson in a mental facility.
Okay.
People that
Let's try to gather some of your symptoms.
Suffered
if
for
you're
our
having
rights,
any.
suffered for our
Otherwise,
freedoms
we're
and
gonna
our
have
rights.
to stop this right now, and I'm just going to go ahead and call the probation and parole and say that you were not being cooperative, and I cannot do an assessment.
That's up to you. I mean, I already know what the ending is going to be. So,
Do you want me to just request your information from Pathways and your parole and probation officer, and then we can go from there?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
It means we'll sign releases. I'll have whatever evaluation was done at Pathways faxed over, and then I'll communicate everything over to the probation and parole.
I don't know. Let me talk to the probation officer and I'll see if that's okay. I don't care. I have to do whatever they want.
Okay. Well, then let's sign a release, and then I'll call them and gather all the stuff and get it.
No, I got to call them and ask them myself.
Okay. I'll put it on speaker here.
Waiting for a call on this phone. I think it's what is it?
You have to dial 9 to get out.
I dial 322. Yeah, I got it. I'll leave talk some.
Well, I need you to. Can I have your consent to speak with him?
Oh yeah, I don't care. You're going to anyway.
Yes, I was trying to get a hold of
Sarah Galen.
Sarah Galen? You want to leave a message?
I don't know. Well, just whatever. Do whatever you want to do here. I don't care. I'll shut up.
Okay.
I don't care.
Then let's talk. Have you ever seen anything that isn't there? What is?
I don't know what you mean.
Like, do you hear a voice actively commentating on things that you're doing, or does any voices tell you to do things, or do you have conversations with yourself, or do you ever hear things that other people don't hear?
Not applicable.
Okay. So no?
Well, we all have sort of an inner voice, obviously.
It's not like the inner voice. It's different. It's an hallucination.
Oh, kind of like the burning bush.
Do you have
I don't
hallucinations?
No, I don't use DMT like the plants that were found where the burning bush
Do you ever
occurred.
see anything that other people can't see?
No, I don't do drugs.
Not doing drugs.
I've never seen anything that other people don't see.
Okay.
Doing drugs or otherwise.
Any mood problems, depression, suicidal thoughts?
Not yet.
Okay. Anything in the past? Any attempts? Are you isolating your home? Do you get out and about? Do you have friends?
Pretty much.
Okay. Do you stay home all the time? Do you ever leave? I mean, are you staying in bed all the time?
No.
Okay. So you do not. Depression isn't a problem for you. I'm catching.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It just depends. I'm not one of the special people. That's for damn sure.
Okay. And I don't know what that means. Do you ever have? How hard is your sleep? Are you getting like 6 to 8 hours a night?
Yeah.
Okay. How's your appetite?
I eat just fine.
Eating nutritious meals, something like, I don't know, you got a vegetable, you got a protein, you're not just eating out of the microwave or fried stuff?
What does that mean? Is that like people that eat microwave foods are mentally challenged or something, or what?
And it's not about being mentally challenged. I'm not trying to label you as such, but I just need to see.
I'm just trying to understand the question. What is?
Do you like nutritious meals? Are you preparing nutritious meals, or are you going to like McDonald's every day? That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, yeah, I heard the question. I'm just I'm trying to understand what you interpret that as. What is the meaning of that question?
It's just it's assessing your ability to maintain activities of daily living, which is just to feed yourself nutritious meals to keep healthy physically.
Yeah, I'm healthy as a horse. I drop down, do 25 push-ups, no problem.
Okay. Have you ever had any instances where you've been awake for more than 24 hours without any substances?
Been awake for more than 24 hours?
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody has been up for a full day before.
What's the longest you've ever stayed awake for?
I don't know, probably 30-something hours.
Okay. Do you ever have any feelings like people are after you? Have any paranoia? Anything like that?
No, that's just a fact.
Okay. Like who's after you?
Well, I mean, I should have brought the video.
Regardless of anything legally going on right now, do you ever feel like your house is bugged? Like there's cameras in the TV? Like anything like that?
Do I feel like there's cameras in the TV? Well, I haven't proven it yet.
And I can't get a straight answer out of you, can I?
Well,
Let's just go ahead and we'll sign release of information. I'll gather your documents and then we can get done.
I answered the question. I'm not a feelings guy. I'm a facts guy.
And I'm kind of asking yes or no questions, and you're not answering them. So.
No, you asked about if I feel like something exists that isn't provable. It's like, well, if I can't prove it, then in my mind it doesn't exist. If it's provable, then whatever, it exists.
Okay.
Just like you kind of think of convicted felons aren't allowed to own guns, and the fact is that
I never said anything to the sort.
Pretty sure you said you learned it somewhere and you didn't know where you learned it, maybe in hunting class, that convicted felons aren't allowed to have guns.
I learned that. I didn't make my opinion on it, and that's not something I do.
I didn't say you made your opinion on it.
Okay.
But the fact is you learned convicted felons aren't allowed to have guns, and almost nobody that has a felony on their record is a